Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is the topic of the problem with Michael Bay when it comes to the movies he makes. So for this video, I'm going to explain in a simple and straightforward way the problem with Michael Bay when it comes to the way he produces movies in a simple and straightforward way so anyone can understand it. As well as, of course, giving a lesson from this video topic towards the end of the video, okay? So that's what I'll be doing today. So now that I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of the problem with Michael Bay movies, is that they tend to be primarily action-based with not much story, which, of course, for a movie to be properly done, there needs to be a good balance between story and action scenes, which Michael Bay movies clearly do not do, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, if you're someone who watches Michael Bay movies, okay, specifically if you grew up in the 2000s, when he was in his heyday, you know, with Transformers and all that type of stuff, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Michael Bay movies are extremely action-based, okay? They are just full of action scenes, especially if you watch Transformers 2 and Transformers 3, you know, yada, 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 like, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Those movies right then and there, even if you're Gen Z, you might have watched them, just like how people my generation, in the 2000s, we watched movies from 1980s, 1970s, no big deal. Like, obviously, you have modern technology, people record shit, so you watch things that happened prior. So anyway, the point of the matter is, if you watched any of his movies, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay, you will realize that they're very action-based, and there tends to not be much space for actual storyline, okay? Like, most of the times you watch movies with shootings, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. There's not much room for actual development of story and stuff, okay? Which, of course, is a very bad thing if you want to watch an enjoyable movie, okay? And that's the reason why a lot of his movies, which, whether you want to admit it or not, aside from maybe people who just like to watch movies that are just bad, are kind of forgettable, okay? There's a bunch of movies Michael Bay made. How many people actually remember them, okay? And that's the truth of the matter here when it comes to Michael Bay. Michael Bay, as a film director, just directs movies, okay, that just simply don't have much actual story. They're just action-based, explosions, people getting shot, people running off of buildings, all this type of craziness, and not actually a good story to go along with it, okay? And that's a problem with Michael Bay movies, okay? Is that there's not a good balance between story and action scenes, which, of course, since the point of channel is what I refer to the Entertainment Advice Channel, we want to, of course, give advice on how to make good quality entertainment, which is the point of this video, which is a lesson that when people are making movies, do not do what Michael Bay is doing. Because to sum things up, okay, when you're making a movie, you have to have a good balance between action scenes and, of course, no shit, story, okay? You have to have a good balance, okay? It does not literally mean like 50% of the movie is going to be story, 50% of the movie is going to be action scenes. Of course not, okay? But what I mean is that there has to be like a good time distribution between each actions, okay? You're not gonna have a movie that's like an hour of story, and then like after that, an action scene or something, and then like go through another hour of story before you have another action scene. That's a very boring freaking movie. So what I'm trying to communicate here, okay, as I'm trying to give lessons for people who are filmmakers or people who might support filmmakers, especially since we're living in the internet age, like you might have someone who makes films online and you want to support them, okay, and you give them feedback and this and that, is that what I'm trying to tell people, whether you're one of those two groups, people who make films or the consumer, whatever, yada, 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 is that you have to make sure when you make a movie, there's a fucking balance, okay? There's a balance between those two things, okay? Whether you're the one making a movie or you give a recommendation to people, make sure you realize there has to be a balance, okay? There has to be a good time distribution, okay? Which I would say would be roughly 30 minutes to or something before you have an action scene, and after that action scene, another 30 or so minutes before you have another action scene, so and so forth. So you kind of equally distribute it throughout the movie, okay? So in short, to sum it up, there has to be a good time balance, okay? Which Michael Bay right there is a perfect example of not having a time balance, okay? When you watch his freaking movies, everything is just action based. There's not much time for story. There's just action, 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 action. Okay? Which, yes, I know some people might say, well, it has its own unique charm. Yes, I get that point. But when you're making a movie seriously, like to be honest with you can still make a movie that has a good story and have good action scenes. It just means you actually don't have like an hour-long fucking seminar of, like just a story, part of your movie, okay? Which just gives off the vibe of we are trying so hard to get a fucking Oscar, okay? And that's exactly what I'm trying to say here, okay? I'm so sick and tired of movies making movies that are just extremely story driven to the point that they become very boring. Like pretty much every Hayao Miyazaki movie or literally every Oscar award nominated movie ever has been. It's too driven by story. There's not enough action, and if you say anything different, people are just gonna say you have bad taste in this and blah 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 blah. That's the truth of the matter, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? And that's why this stuff is so freaking boring to a lot of people when they watch the movies. But at the same time, you also don't want to do what Michael Bay does, which is action scenes after action scenes after action scenes. Because yes, it's enjoyable and entertaining to watch, but like, where's the freaking story? Where's the thing that really makes me immersed in the movie? Makes me really enjoy it. Instead of just leaving a movie, I just go out with my friends, we have nothing better to do, and have a good laugh at how bad it is afterwards, and so on and so forth, That's the truth here, okay? So when it comes to the problem with Michael Bay, the problem with him is that it's just the way he makes movies. It's just action-based, people jumping up and down, like doing backflips, explosions, yada yada yada, and not enough of a good development of a good quality story, which makes his movies, of course, not the greatest in quality. So that is exactly the problem with Michael Bay when it comes to him as a filmmaker, okay? To be honest with you, okay? So the truth of the matter is, when you make movies, okay, for anyone who's aspiring to make movies or whatnot, make sure you don't do what Michael Bay does, because his movies are not the greatest in all honesty, okay? I'm not going to hate on him. I'm certain he's had some degree of an impact on the movies that we know today, but at the same time, his movies are very, very, very action-driven and not enough story, okay? Which is very problematic, not only in the fact of how it kills the ability to enjoy a good quality movie experience, it just gives the annoying certain types of people. Some of them are cinephiles, some of them are just really pretentious people who are going through a phase. Oh my Lord, have mercy! I fucking hate these people with such a divine passion. Like the type of people who you'll say, like you'll make mention of a movie that's really critically acclaimed, and you're like, okay, yeah, the movie's good, but I feel they could have had some more action scenes. And then that person, that snobbish person, will say, oh, so what, you just want to watch a Michael Bay movie where there's explosions and this and that? No, I'm not saying I want to watch a Michael Bay movie where it's just like action scenes every freaking 10 minutes. No, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to say, I want to watch a movie where I don't have to have an hour of boring, endless character development. That's what I'm trying to say here, okay? Because it's really freaking annoying. And not even annoying, more like just straight up boring, okay? And that's what you tell to them, but they don't want to listen. They just think you're just another, person who's a Michael Bay fan, and you're another endless consumer of the masses, that's what they always like to say, and it gets very tiresome and boring. And that's a problem with Michael Bay as well. He creates an environment that anytime you create opposition to the fact that a lot of these movies that are story driven are kind of boring at times, people just say you're just a fan of Michael Bay. And so that's another problem with Michael Bay, is that he gives a bad influence, and just on top of that, the main point is his movies are just action packed, explosion after explosion, and nothing of real substance. And that's a problem with Michael Bay. So anyway, this is my video. This is my critique of Michael Bay. Simply put it, the lesson that there is to learn from this video is simply that when you make a movie, you have to have a good balance between story and action scenes, okay? Which I've elaborated on for some of my previous videos, okay? So for anyone watching this video and you're as passionate as I am with the making the quality of movies. But again, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay, as a whole, as I said before, the point of my channel is an entertainment advice channel. We give advice on how to make entertainment, whether it could be music, you know, TV shows, and of course, in this case, movies, better, okay, you know, which is the point of my channel. So, as a result of that being the point of my channel, hopefully you can watch this video in order to learn from it so you don't make the same mistakes many people in the past have made when it comes to movies, especially in this case, of course, Michael Bay, okay? So we can make movies as good as it once was again, okay? And not just that, even better. So anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say. And simply put it, the only thing I have to say is that if you like this video, remember to thumbs this video up and then subscribe button and simply put on out. So bye.